My family took my laptop for my sister's $2,300 e-bike. Then expected more. My parents sold my laptop to fund a $2,300 e-bike for my sister. When they insisted I cover her rent as well, I uttered a single word. No. Then I walked away for good. My name is Lucas, the eldest child, the one who fixes problems, always ready with a wrench and some tape. In our family, I'm the unseen worker who keeps everything from falling apart. My younger sister, Ingrid, is the spotlight, radiating charm, energy, and applause. I'm the one adjusting the lights, not always with fanfare, but with steady, reliable effort. Growing up, it was the small, consistent things. If we both brought home A's, Ingrid got a shiny new coat, while I got a pat on the back and a "don't get too full of yourself." If something broke, I was the one to fix it. If money was short, I picked up extra hours. When I turned 18, Dad gave me a firm handshake and said, "I'm proud of you, son." For Ingrid, he handed over the keys to a used car, and she cried tears of joy. I took the bus, convincing myself it built grit. I work in it now, a steady job with predictable hours. Last year, I co-signed a mortgage because Dad said, "Family sticks together," and Mom added, "It'll help your credit, honey." I wanted to trust them. It's easier than admitting you're the power grid everyone taps into. Ingrid is the favored one, gliding through life. Every season, she picks up new hobbies with matching outfits. My parents call it nurturing her future. When I ask what that means, Dad chuckles. "You wouldn't understand, Lucas. You're sensible." Sensible is their code for invisible. I just come back from a budget weekend trip with friends, staying in a lakeside cabin that smelled of bleach and wet towels. No signal, no laptop. That was the point. Disconnect. On the drive home, my phone pinged with group chat messages, but nothing from family. Typical. I stopped by my parents' house Sunday night to grab my MacBook and charger before work. The TV blared too loud. The air carried the scent of roasted chicken and fake citrus. Dad was in the garage, hunched over his workbench as if coaxing secrets from engines. Mom stood at the sink, rings off, hands in sudsy water, humming along to the radio like everything was normal. "Hey," I said, stepping into the kitchen. "I need my laptop. It's on my desk." Mom didn't look up. "In your room, honey?" she asked, as if she already knew. "Yeah." I walked down the hall. My desk was unnaturally tidy. No cables, no sticky notes, no charger's familiar dent. Just a clean slab of wood. My gut twisted. I returned. "Where's my MacBook?" Dad strolled in, wiping his hands on a rag that didn't need wiping. "Funny you mention that," he said, his grin suggesting a light-hearted reveal. "I sold it." I thought he was kidding. I even laughed. "What?" He leaned against the counter. "To teach you a lesson about responsibility. You leave stuff here, you don't need it, right?" My laugh faded fast. "You stole my laptop." Mom finally turned, lips tight like she was bracing for a child's outburst. "You left it here, sweetheart. That means it's not essential." She tilted her head. "You've got a work computer." "That's not how this works," I said, slower than I felt. "That's my property." Dad raised his hands. "Calm down, it's not a big deal. Use the family desktop if you need to print something." "The family desktop from 2011, I said, voice too steady. "There's personal stuff on my Mac, work files." "Then you should have been more careful," Mom said. "Actions have consequences." I heard gravel crunch outside. A horn beeped twice. Ingrid's cheery bike bell chimed. She rolled into the driveway on a sleek e-bike, its white frame gleaming, fat tires shining, battery pack like a jewel on the frame. She pulled off her helmet with a flourish and shouted through the open door, "Thanks again, Dad." Dad grinned, chest puffed like he'd scored a victory. "Looking sharp, kiddo." "How much was that?" I asked, not meaning to. Ingrid beamed. $2,300, but it's an investment, you know, for my commute, eco-friendly." She glanced at me. "You should try living a little, Lucas." Mom laughed like it was adorable. Dad patted her shoulder. "Anything for my girl?" I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I pressed my hands flat on the counter, feeling a sticky ring from an uncleaned glass. My name was on their mortgage. My laptop was gone. Ingrid spun the bike's wheel, and it blurred. Dad tossed me the rag. "Don't make a fuss, Lucas. Be helpful and set the table." Growing up, money was a tally, and I was expected to keep it even. When Ingrid wanted soccer camp and new cleats, Dad worked extra hours and Mom juggled bills. When I asked about a robotics club in high school, they said, "Too pricey, Lucas. Be thankful for your computer." That computer was second-hand, missing half its keys. It didn't stop there. Every milestone tilted in her favor. At 16, I worked weekends bagging groceries to save for a used car. When I came home with $2,000, Dad asked to borrow half for a quick fix. He promised to repay me in a month. I never saw a cent. 2 months later, Ingrid turned 16 and a polished Honda Civic sat in the driveway with balloons on its mirrors. Dad clapped her shoulder. Safe and reliable, nothing's too good for my girl. I took the bus. It set the pattern. My role wasn't as a son, it was as a resource. When Mom wanted to repaint the kitchen, she asked me to cover supplies. You're the practical one, honey. Ingrid's busy with school. When Dad had credit card debt, he asked me to spot him while Ingrid shopped for prom dresses. When the roof leaked, I was on a ladder at midnight in the rain. It got worse after college. I landed a stable IT job, nothing flashy, but enough to pay rent and save. Dad pulled me aside with a salesman's smile. The family mortgage is killing us. Rates are brutal. Co-sign with us, Lucas. It's a win-win for your credit. I hesitated. Mom chimed in soft but firm. It's just paperwork, sweetheart. You're helping us keep the house. It'll be yours and Ingrid's one day. I signed. A year later, my name was on every payment. When I asked Dad if it was under control, he brushed me off. Relax, it's fine. Meanwhile, Ingrid drifted. She switched majors twice, then dropped out of community college. Mom's line. She's finding her path. Dad's favorite. She's got potential, Lucas. Don't weigh her down. Potential meant a $1,200 camera for her photography phase, a $600 keyboard for her music phase, a $900 sewing machine for her fashion phase. When Dad couldn't pay, I covered parts of those credit card bills. Each time I pushed back, the script was the same. Dad, don't be greedy. Mom, you don't get it. She's the baby. Ingrid, you're just jealous. It wasn't just money. It was roles. I was the supply. She was the demand. The small slights cut deeper than the big asks. When I brought groceries to stock their fridge, Dad said at dinner, "Good job, Lucas. You know how to pitch in." Then he gave Ingrid the last slice of pie, saying I'd had enough. When I upgraded my phone after saving, Mom called it showing off, then bought Ingrid a new iPad 2 weeks later. The message was clear. If I had something, I was selfish. If Ingrid had something, she deserved it. The breaking point loomed when Dad suggested I cover more of the mortgage. You're single, Lucas. You don't have our burdens. Mom added, Ingrid might move out soon. You could help with her rent to get her started. Translation, more money for me, more freedom for her. They saw my paycheck before they saw me. When they looked at Ingrid, they saw dreams and sparkle. When they looked at me, they saw a bank account with feet. For years, I told myself this was normal, that this was responsibility, that I was building credit, being a grown-up. But every demand chipped away at fairness. Then came the MacBook, the one thing I bought for myself, my tool for work, projects, and organizing my life, gone. It funded Ingrid's new toy on wheels. That's when I knew the rules had shifted. They weren't borrowing from me anymore. They were taking things from my hands and giving them to her, calling it a lesson. The final straw wasn't a holiday or a big event. It was just another Sunday dinner, one I'd been summoned to my whole life. Mom texted earlier. Be here at 6, honey, bring dessert. Translation, show up, contribute, don't expect thanks. I brought a $15 bakery pie, nothing fancy, knowing Mom wouldn't bake. The kitchen smelled of overcooked roast and cleaner. Dad was in his recliner, eyes on the game. Ingrid lounged on the couch, scrolling her phone, her shiny new bike helmet on the coffee table. Hey, I said, setting the pie down. About time, Dad muttered, focused on the TV. Mom peeked from the kitchen. Oh, dessert, you didn't forget. I stayed quiet. We sat to eat. Same routine. Dad served himself first, then Ingrid, then Mom. By the time the dish reached me, it was a wing and soggy potatoes. I didn't mind. I'd learned not to expect much. Halfway through, Dad cleared his throat like he was about to make a proclamation. Ingrid's looking at an apartment downtown. Mom clapped softly like it was a revelation. Isn't that wonderful? Ingrid shrugged, smirking. Yeah, there's this place I like, rent steep, but I'll manage. Dad's eyes fixed on me. Your sister's young, she shouldn't be buried in bills. You can help with her rent until she's settled. My fork stopped. Excuse me, Mom's voice was calm but pointed. Honey, you're stable, living alone, you don't have our expenses, it's only right. Right, I said quietly. You sold my laptop last week. Dad waved it off. Still on that, it was just a computer, she's building her life. I set my fork down. It wasn't just a computer, and I'm not paying her rent. The room went silent. Ingrid looked up from her phone. Wow, okay, don't be a jerk, it's nothing to you. It's not nothing, I said, voice steady but chest tight. I'm not your bank, I'm not covering rent, tuition, hobbies, bikes, none of it. Dad's chair scraped as he leaned forward, voice low. Watch your tone, you don't speak to your mother or sister like that. I'm not, I said. I'm telling you I'm done. Mom shook her head like I'd betrayed her. You've always been so distant, Lucas. Family supports family. What do we tell people if you won't help your sister? Tell them the truth, I said. That you put my name on your mortgage, that you sold my stuff behind my back. That every time Ingrid wants something, you take it from me. Ingrid slammed her phone down. You're so dramatic. Dad helps you too. Who paid for your braces? I laughed, sharp and cold. You mean the braces I paid off with grocery shifts at 16 because Dad missed the last 3 payments? Her face flushed. You're just jealous. Something inside me snapped. Not loud, not messy, just a quiet break. I looked at them. Dad, Mom, Ingrid. My voice was calm, like I was explaining something to a stranger. This isn't about spite. It's about boundaries. I'm not paying another cent. Not for the house, not for Ingrid. Not for anything. Dad's fist hit the table, rattling plates. I stood, hands steady. I'm done. Mom's voice turned sharp. If you leave, Lucas, don't come back. Don't expect family when you're old and alone. I met her eyes. I'd rather be alone than bled dry. I grabbed my keys and walked to the door. Dad muttered something I didn't catch. Ingrid sneered, pathetic. Mom started crying, her usual tactic to make someone cave. But I didn't cave. For the first time, I didn't sit back and swallow it. I stepped into the night, their voices fading behind the door. The fallout hit fast. By the time I got to my apartment, I had 3 missed calls from Mom, 2 from Dad, and a text from Ingrid. Wow, you really wrecked dinner. Nice job. I didn't reply. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing, 15 calls before noon. Mom's voicemail was a sobbing mess. Lucas, honey, I don't know what's wrong with you. We're family. You don't abandon us. Please don't do this. Dad's was angry. You think you can just walk away after all we've done? You're ungrateful, selfish. Don't forget whose house you grew up in. Ingrid's was predictable. Whatever, you've always been bitter. I'll handle rent without your drama. Enjoy your miserable life. I left them unread. By day 3, the tone changed. Mom's texts were short. Mortgage is due Friday. Your dad's stressed. Don't let us down. Then, if you don't pay your share, we could lose the house. Is that what you want? I stared at the screen, thinking how absurd it was. My role had become their fix for every shortfall. I wasn't just helping, I was carrying them. I didn't respond. When the payment deadline passed, Dad called 10 times in an hour. Another text. Fine, play tough guy. We'll see how tough you are when the bank comes. You're on this loan, Lucas. I blocked his number. Silence lasted 2 days. Then Ingrid posted on Instagram, smiling with her bike, captioned, Learning to thrive without people who drag you down. The comments were full of hearts and cheers from her friends. It should have hurt, it didn't. It felt like proof I'd done the right thing. My phone kept buzzing with unknown numbers, bill collectors probably. I ignored them. At work, I pushed myself to focus. When colleagues asked if I was okay, I said I was just tired. But at night in my apartment, the quiet was striking. No texts from Mom with daily reminders. No Dad asking for quick favors. No Ingrid gloating about her latest gift. Just silence, and it felt good. 2 weeks later, I went back to their house one last time, not to talk, but to remove my name from the mortgage. The sticky note I'd left after the laptop incident was ignored, as expected. So I came prepared with paperwork. I'd spoken to the bank and learned how to legally step away. It wasn't simple, but it was possible. Dad opened the door, eyes cold. What do you want? To be free, I said, handing him the papers. He scoffed. Coward, Mom appeared, face red from crying. Please, Lucas, don't do this. Think of your sister. I am, I said. That's why I'm done. Dad muttered something, maybe useless or weak. But he signed when reality sank in. Mom resisted at first, but gave in after 10 minutes of silence. Ingrid wasn't even there. When it was done, I set the pen down and said, You'll manage without me. That night, my phone stayed quiet. No calls, no texts. The silence stretched for days, then weeks. For the first time, I wasn't waiting for their approval or bracing for their demands. I woke up early, made breakfast slowly, took walks, read books I'd put off. It wasn't grand or flashy. It was mine, and that felt like freedom. It's been months since I walked out and untangled my name from their mortgage. Months since the constant hum of calls and guilt-laced texts. The quiet has stayed. At first, it felt odd. I'd check my phone expecting Mom's long pleas or Ingrid's smug updates. Nothing. Now my notifications are just work, friends, and bills I chose. I wondered if I'd miss them. I don't. I feel lighter, like a burden I didn't know I carried was lifted. My apartment is my own now. No one's waiting to ask for a favor or hint that my paycheck isn't mine. I cook on Sundays instead of bringing pies to a house where I'm unseen. I walk after work. I'm saving again, not for their bills, but for me. It's surprising how fast money adds up when you're not plugging someone else's leaks. My bank account quietly proves I made the right call, and I don't feel guilty for every dollar I keep. I sometimes scroll past Ingrid's posts, the bike, the outfits, the endless captions about living her truth. It's ironic, almost sad. She's still the golden child, but there's no one to hold up her stage. I don't comment. I don't care if she calls me bitter, fine. If mom calls me selfish, fine. If dad calls me ungrateful, fine. Their power over me vanished when I stopped giving. I'm no longer their wallet, their backdrop, or their safety net. I'm just me, and for the first time, that's enough. I don't know what their house looks like now, if the mortgage is hanging by a thread, if dad shuffled numbers again, or if Ingrid's paying rent or mom's covering it. Maybe they're managing. Maybe they're not. That's the point. I'm not their solution anymore. I left a note on their fridge that night. Figure out the mortgage without my name. It wasn't a threat or revenge. It was a promise to myself. This isn't about punishing them. It's about closing the chapter. I'll always remember how they used me, and I won't pretend it didn't happen. But I'm done carrying it. I'm done letting their demands eat every paycheck and small victory. I choose where my time, money, and energy go now. They don't get a vote. I might not have a perfect family. I might not get birthday calls or holiday invites. I might not be in their Christmas cards. But I'm at peace, and that's worth more than any bike, laptop, or guilt they try to drape over me. What surprised me most was how quickly life filled the space after I set that boundary. Without the constant drain, I had time for myself. I started running again, something I'd dropped years ago because my free time went to others. I joined a book club, met people who know me as Lucas, not the dutiful son. When I mention a hobby, no one dismisses it as a waste. At work, I'm not drained from late-night calls about bills. I have energy I take on projects. My boss noticed. You seem brighter lately. He's right. I'm not living in anyone's shadow anymore. I say yes to things I used to decline, a friend's camping trip, a neighbor's pickup basketball game. Small moments, but ones I never had space for because I was always braced for the next family duty. My apartment feels like a home now, not a pit stop between crises. I built shelves, bought a desk, hung art that makes me smile. Every corner reflects my choices, not obligations. And the best part? I don't feel guilty for enjoying it. That's what closure is. Not slamming a door in anger, but living without carrying everyone else's weight. I'll never let them use me like that again. If it means standing alone, so be it. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.